The night was cold and quiet in rural Montana. Samuel Harris sat alone on the wooden porch of his old farmhouse. A half-empty bottle of whiskey rested beside his chair. The stars above were bright and endless, but Sam did not look at them. He stared at nothing, lost in memories he could not escape. 2 years had passed since the accident. 2 years since his wife, Clara, and his daughter, Mia, died in a shuttle crash during the colony evacuation of Kepler-22b. Sam had been on a different ship that day. He was supposed to protect people. He was a combat medic. But he could not protect the 2 people who mattered most. After their deaths, Sam left the Terra Marine Corps. He sold everything and bought this old farm in the middle of nowhere. He wanted silence. He wanted to be forgotten. Most days, he woke up and wondered why he bothered waking up at all. The farmhouse was too big for one person. The empty rooms echoed with ghosts. Clara's paintings still hung on the walls. Mia's toys still sat in boxes he could not bring himself to open. Sam lived among these memories, like a man trapped in a museum of his own grief. He lifted the whiskey bottle and took a long drink. The burn in his throat was the only thing that made him feel alive anymore. Then he saw it. A streak of fire cut across the dark sky. At first, Sam thought it was a shooting star, but it was too big, too bright, and it was falling fast. The object crashed into his northern pasture with a thunderous boom. The ground shook beneath his feet. A cloud of dirt and smoke rose into the air, glowing orange against the night. Sam stood up slowly. His heart was beating faster now. He knew he should call someone. He knew he should stay away. Crashed objects could be dangerous. They could be carrying disease, radiation, or worse. But something pulled him forward. He grabbed his old medical kit from inside the house and started walking toward the crash site. The grass was wet with evening dew. His boots made soft sounds as he moved through the darkness. The smell of burning metal filled the air. When he reached the pasture, he saw a long trench carved into the earth. At the end of it sat a small escape pod. It was not human-made. The design was smooth and organic, with curved edges and strange markings along the hull. Smoke poured from cracks in the outer shell. Sam approached carefully. He had seen alien technology before during his years in the Marines. The galaxy was full of different species, and humanity had only joined the interstellar community 100 years ago. But this pod did not match anything he recognized. The hatch was partially open. A faint blue light flickered inside. Sam pulled the hatch the rest of the way open and looked inside. 2 figures lay unconscious on the floor of the pod. They were not human. They had scales. Shimmering, iridescent scales that reflected blue and silver in the dim light. Their bodies were humanoid in shape, but their faces were longer, more angular. Small horns curved back from their foreheads. Wings, torn and burned, folded against their backs. Tails curled around their legs. Dragons. They looked like dragons from old Earth legends. Sam had heard of the Drakari. Everyone in the galaxy had. They were an ancient species, powerful and proud. But 3 months ago, the Galactic Council had declared them extinct. Their homeworld had been destroyed by a manufactured plague, a weapon designed to wipe out their entire race. Yet here were 2 of them, alive. They were young. The larger one looked like a teenager by human standards. Her scales were a deep blue, and even unconscious, her face held a fierce expression. The smaller one was younger still, with scales the color of emeralds. She looked fragile, almost delicate. Both of them were badly injured. Burns covered their arms and shoulders. One of the larger one's wings was bent at a wrong angle. The smaller one had a deep gash across her side. Sam did not think. He simply acted. He lifted the smaller one first, cradling her carefully in his arms. She weighed less than he expected. Her scales were warm to the touch, almost feverish. He carried her back to the farmhouse and laid her on the couch in the living room. Then he returned for the larger one. She was heavier, and he struggled to lift her, but he managed. He brought her inside and placed her on the bed in the guest room. For the next several hours, Sam worked without rest. He cleaned their wounds and bandaged what he could. He set the broken wing as best as he knew how. He used old medical supplies and improvised with what he had. He did not know why he was doing this. He did not know these creatures. He owed them nothing. And if anyone found out he was sheltering them, there would be trouble. The Drakari had enemies. Powerful enemies. Whoever had destroyed their world might still be looking for survivors. But Sam could not leave them to die. He had watched too many people die already. He had failed to save the ones he loved. Maybe this was his chance to do something right for once. By the time the sun began to rise, both dragons were stable. They were still unconscious, but their breathing was steady. Sam sat in a chair between the two rooms, exhausted and covered in alien blood. He looked at the photograph on the mantel. Clara and Mia smiled back at him from a sunny day that felt like a lifetime ago. "I don't know what I'm doing," he whispered to them. "But I couldn't just walk away." The smaller dragon stirred in her sleep. She made a soft sound, almost like a whimper. Sam stood and walked over to her. He pulled a blanket over her small body and tucked it around her shoulders. "You're safe now," he said quietly, even though she could not hear him. "Both of you. I don't know what comes next, but you're safe." Outside, the Montana sun rose over the mountains. Inside the old farmhouse, a broken man watched over two orphans from a dead world. None of them knew what the future held. But for the first time in 2 years, Samuel Harris felt something other than emptiness. He felt purpose. The elder sister woke first. Sam was in the kitchen making coffee when he heard the crash. He ran to the guest room and found her standing in the corner, her golden eyes wide and wild. She had knocked over the bedside table. Her claws were extended, and a low growl rumbled in her throat. "Where is she?" the dragon demanded. Her voice was sharp and rough. "Where is my sister?" Sam held up his hand slowly. He kept his voice calm and steady, the way he used to speak to frightened soldiers in the field hospitals. "She's safe," he said. "She's in the next room. She's sleeping." The dragon did not relax. Her eyes moved around the room, taking in every detail. She was looking for threats, for lies. Sam recognized that look. He had worn it himself many times. "Show me," she said. Sam nodded and walked slowly toward the living room. The dragon followed close behind, her footsteps silent despite her size. When they entered the room, she saw her sister lying on the couch, wrapped in blankets, breathing softly. Something in the elder dragon's posture changed. Her claws retracted. Her shoulders dropped just slightly. She moved to her sister's side and knelt beside her, placing a gentle hand on the smaller dragon's forehead. "Sira," she whispered. "I'm here. You're safe." Sam stood in the doorway and said nothing. He understood this moment was not for him. After a long silence, the elder dragon turned to face him. Her golden eyes were still sharp, but the immediate threat had faded. "Who are you?" she asked. "Why did you help us?" "My name is Samuel Harris," he said. "And I helped you because you needed help." The dragon studied him for a long moment. She seemed to be searching for something in his face, some hidden motive or secret agenda. She did not find it. "I am Lyra," she said finally. "This is my sister, Sira. We are Drakari." "I know," Sam said. "I thought your people were gone. Most of us are." Lyra's voice was flat, but Sam could hear the pain beneath it. "We are the last, or close to it." Sam nodded slowly. He did not ask more questions. He could see that every word was a struggle for her. "You need food," he said instead. And rest. Your wounds are healing, but you both lost a lot of blood. I'll make something to eat." Lyra watched him walk back to the kitchen. She did not follow. She stayed beside her sister, guarding her, waiting for the trap that never came. Over the next several days, a strange routine began to form. Sam cooked meals for the dragons. He learned quickly that they preferred their meat barely cooked and their vegetables raw. He adjusted the heating system in the house because their bodies needed warmth to function properly. He gave them clean clothes from storage boxes he had not opened in years. Lyra remained suspicious of everything. She watched Sam constantly, waiting for him to reveal his true intentions. She expected him to contact the authorities, to sell them to collectors, or to demand something in return for his help. The Drakari had learned through centuries of galactic politics that kindness always had a price. But Sam asked for nothing. He went about his daily work on the farm. He repaired fences. He tended to the small garden behind the house. He sat on the porch in the evenings and stared at the mountains. He barely spoke unless spoken to. Lyra noticed things about him. She noticed the way his hand shook when he looked at certain photographs. She noticed the empty bottles hidden in the corner of the kitchen. She noticed that he ate very little and slept even less. This was not a man living his life. This was a man waiting to die. After 5 days, Syrah finally woke up. The younger dragon opened her emerald eyes and looked around the room with confusion. When she saw her sister beside her, she smiled weakly. "Lyra," she said. "We made it." "We made it," Lyra confirmed. She held her sister's hand tightly. "We're safe. A human is helping us." Syrah turned her head and saw Sam standing in the doorway. He looked tired and sad, but not dangerous. She tilted her head and studied him with innocent curiosity. "Hello," she said. "What's your name?" "Sam," he replied. "Thank you for saving us, Sam." Syrah's voice was soft and sincere. "You have a nice house. It smells like coffee and old books." Despite himself, Sam almost smiled. Almost, Syrah recovered faster than her sister. Within a few days, she was walking around the house, exploring every room with endless curiosity. She asked questions about everything. What was that machine? Why did humans drink coffee? What were those strange devices on the walls? Why did Sam live alone? Sam answered some questions. Others, he simply could not. One afternoon, Syrah found an old guitar in a closet. She brought it to Sam with excitement in her eyes. "What is this?" she asked. "A guitar," Sam said. "It's a musical instrument. Can you teach me to play it?" Sam looked at the guitar. It had belonged to Mia. She had just started learning before the accident. He had not touched it since. "I don't know," he said quietly. Syrah's face fell just a little. She did not push. She simply set the guitar aside and went back to exploring. But Sam saw the disappointment in her eyes. And something inside him cracked just slightly. That evening, after dinner, he picked up the guitar. He sat on the porch and played a few simple chords. The sound was rough and imperfect, but it filled the empty air. Syrah appeared beside him within seconds, her eyes bright with wonder. "Will you teach me now?" she asked. Sam looked at her. She was young and hopeful and full of life, despite everything she had lost. She deserved better than his silence and his grief. "Okay," he said finally. "I'll teach you." Syrah's smile was like sunlight breaking through clouds. From the window, Lyra watched them. She did not understand this human. He had nothing to gain from helping them. He was clearly broken in ways she could not fully see. But he was trying. That meant something. For the first time since they landed on this strange planet, Lyra allowed herself to feel something other than fear. She felt hope. Weeks passed, and the old farmhouse began to change. It was small things at first. Syrah's laughter echoing through the hallways. the smell of strange alien flowers Lyra had planted in the garden, the sound of guitar chords drifting from the porch in the evenings. The house had been silent for 2 years. Now it was slowly coming back to life. Sam still struggled. The nightmares still came every night. The grief still sat heavy in his chest, like a stone that would never move. But there were moments now, brief and unexpected, when he forgot to be sad. Syrah was relentless in her pursuit of knowledge. She wanted to understand everything about Earth and about humans. She asked Sam why the sky was blue and why water fell from clouds. She asked about human history, about wars and discoveries, and the first time humans reached the stars. She asked about music and food, and the strange way humans laughed when something was funny. Sam found himself talking more than he had in years. He explained how guitars worked and why coffee tasted bitter. He told her about the mountains and the rivers and the animals that lived in the forests. He taught her card games and showed her old movies on the dusty television. Syrah learned 3 songs on the guitar. Her claws made it difficult to press the strings, but she practiced every day until her fingers ached. When she finally played a full song without mistakes, she ran through the house shouting with joy. "I did it!" she cried. "Sam, I did it." Sam watched her from his chair, and for the first time in 2 years, he smiled. Not a forced smile or a polite smile, but a real one. It felt strange on his face, like a muscle he had forgotten how to use. Lyra noticed the change in him. She noticed everything. The elder dragon had started helping with work around the farm. She was strong and capable, and her fire breath proved useful for welding broken equipment. She could lift things that would take 3 humans to move. She repaired the roof, fixed the fence, and cleared dead trees from the property. She did not talk much, but she listened. One evening, Sam sat on the porch alone. Lyra came outside and sat beside him without asking permission. They watched the sunset together in silence for a long time. "You lost someone," Lyra said finally. It was not a question. Sam did not answer right away. He looked at the mountains turning gold and red in the fading light. "My wife," he said quietly, "and my daughter." 2 years ago. Lyra nodded slowly. She did not offer empty words of comfort. She understood that some wounds could not be healed with words. "We lost our parents," she said, 3 months ago. When the plague ships came." Sam turned to look at her. Her golden eyes reflected the dying sun. "They put us in an escape pod," Lyra continued. "My mother held my face and told me to protect Syrah. She said we were the future now. Then she closed the hatch and sent us away." Her voice did not shake, but Sam could see the pain written across her face like scars. "We drifted for weeks," Lyra said. "The navigation system was damaged. We had almost no food or water. I thought we were going to die out there in the darkness. Then the system locked onto Earth's signal, and we crashed here." She looked at Sam with something new in her eyes. "Understanding. You saved us," she said. "You did not have to. You did not know us. But you saved us anyway." Sam shook his head slowly. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Lyra said firmly. "Not anyone. The galaxy is full of species who would have sold us or killed us or turned us over to the hunters. But you brought us into your home. You fed us. You cared for us. You asked nothing in return." She paused and looked at the photographs visible through the window. Clara and Mia, frozen in time, smiling forever. "You kept your promise to them," Lyra said softly. "Even if you could not save them, you are still protecting. You are still caring. That is what they would want." Sam felt something break inside him. Not in a painful way, but like a wall crumbling down. He felt tears on his face for the first time in months. "I miss them every day," he whispered. "I know," Lyra said. "I miss my parents too. I think I always will. They sat together in the growing darkness, two broken souls finding comfort in shared grief. Inside the house, Sarah watched them through the window. She did not understand everything that was happening, but she knew it was important. She could see that her sister was finally letting her guard down. She could see that Sam was finally letting someone in. The next morning, something was different. Sam came downstairs earlier than usual. He made breakfast for all three of them without being asked. He ate his food instead of just pushing it around his plate. He looked at the photographs on the mantel without flinching. "I've been thinking," he said as they finished eating. "This house is too big for just me." It always was. Sarah looked up with wide eyes. Lyra tensed slightly, waiting for what came next. "If you want," Sam continued slowly, "you could stay. Not as guests. As family." Sarah gasped with joy. She jumped up and threw her arms around Sam, nearly knocking him off his chair. Her scales were warm against his skin. "Yes," she cried. "Yes, we want to stay." Lyra did not move. She looked at Sam with those golden eyes that had seen too much pain and too much loss. "Are you sure?" she asked. "We bring danger with us. There are people who will hunt us. Being with us could cost you everything." Sam met her gaze steadily. "I spent 2 years with nothing to lose," he said. "I think I'd rather have something worth fighting for." Lyra held his gaze for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. "Okay," she said. "Then we stay." We stay together. For the first time since she was a child, Lyra allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, things would be all right. Outside, the Montana sun rose bright and warm. Inside the farmhouse, 3 lost souls had found each other. They had found a family. Peace never lasts forever. 3 months had passed since Sam took in the Dragon Sisters. The farmhouse felt like a home again. Sarah practiced guitar every day and had learned 7 songs. Lyra had planted a full garden and spent hours studying earth plants. Sam laughed sometimes now, a sound that had once seemed impossible. But darkness was coming. The Veluxi were a reptilian species known throughout the galaxy as collectors and hunters. They captured rare creatures and sold them to the highest bidder. Their clients included wealthy collectors, illegal fighting rings, and research facilities with no ethics. When word spread through underground channels that 2 Drakari had survived the extinction event, the Veluxi began to search. They tracked the escape pod's signal across 3 star systems. The trail led them to a small blue planet at the edge of known space. Sam was in the barn, repairing a tractor when he heard the sound. A low hum in the air, getting louder. He stepped outside and looked up at the sky. A sleek black ship descended through the clouds. It was not human design. It was too angular, too predatory. Sam ran toward the house. His heart pounded in his chest. He burst through the door and found Lyra and Sarah in the living room. "We have company," he said. "Get to the back of the house, now." Lyra's eyes went hard and cold. She had been waiting for this moment since they crashed on Earth. She knew it would come eventually. "How many?" she asked. "I don't know. 1 ship. Could be 12 inside. Could be more." Sam moved to an old cabinet in the corner. He pulled out a plasma rifle, battered and worn but still functional. He had kept it from his Marine days. He never thought he would use it again. "You should run," Lyra said. "Take Sarah and go. This is not your fight." Sam loaded the rifle and checked the charge. His hands were steady now. The trembling was gone. "Yes, it is," he said. Sarah moved closer to her sister. Fear was visible in her emerald eyes, but she stood tall. "I can fight too," she said. "I'm not as strong as Lyra, but I can help." Sam looked at her for a moment. She was so young. She should be worrying about music and games and growing up. Instead, she was preparing for battle. "Stay behind us," he said. Watch our backs. If things go bad, you run. Understand? Sierra nodded. The ship landed in the front field. The hatch opened, and 12 Aluxei soldiers marched out in formation. They wore dark armor and carried pulse weapons. Their leader, a tall figure with scarred gray scales, walked ahead of the others. Sam stepped onto the porch. The plasma rifle rested against his shoulder. "That's far enough," he called out. The Veluxi leader stopped. His yellow eyes scanned Sam with amusement. "Human," he said, "we have no business with you. Give us the Drakari, and you may live." "They're not for sale," Sam replied. "And they're not leaving." The leader laughed. It was an ugly sound, cold and hollow. "You are one man with an old weapon. We are 12 trained soldiers. Do you really think you can stop us?" Sam's finger rested on the trigger. "I think I can slow you down long enough to make you regret coming here." The leader's amusement faded. His eyes narrowed. "Kill him," he ordered. "Take the dragons alive." The Veluxi soldiers raised their weapons. Sam fired first. The plasma bolt caught the nearest soldier in the chest and sent him flying backward. Sam dropped behind the porch railing as return fire ripped through the air above his head. Wood splintered and burned around him. Lyra burst through the door behind him. Blue fire erupted from her mouth, sweeping across the yard in a deadly arc. 2 more soldiers screamed as flames consumed them. The battle was chaos. Sam moved from cover to cover, firing with precision. His marine training had never left him. Each shot found its mark. Lyra fought like a warrior born, her fire and claws cutting down enemies with terrifying efficiency. Sierra watched from the window. When a soldier tried to circle around the back of the house, she met him with a blast of emerald flame that drove him screaming into retreat. But there were 2. MINYA pulse blast caught Sam in the shoulder. He fell hard, the rifle slipping from his grip. Pain exploded through his body. He saw the Veluxi leader approaching, weapon raised for a killing shot. Then a distress beacon activated. Sam had triggered it the moment he saw the ship, sending a signal to every veteran within 100 miles. The sound of approaching vehicles filled the air. Trucks and armed transports roared up the dirt road. Men and women in warm military gear poured out, weapons ready. They were old soldiers, retired fighters, people Sam had served with decades ago. Marines don't leave their own behind. Someone shouted. The reinforcements opened fire. The Veluxi, suddenly outnumbered, began to fall back. Their leader snarled with rage, but gave the order to retreat. The survivors scrambled into their ship and lifted off, engines screaming. When the ship vanished into the clouds, the battlefield fell silent. Sam lay on the ground, blood soaking his shirt. Lyra was beside him in an instant, pressing her hands against his wound. "Stay awake," she commanded. "Stay with us." Sierra knelt on his other side, tears streaming down her face. "Don't die," she pleaded. "Please don't die." Sam looked up at them. 2 dragon sisters, scared and desperate, fighting to save his life the way he had fought to save theirs. "I'm not going anywhere," he said weakly. "I promise to protect you. I keep my promises." The old veterans gathered around them. Someone brought medical supplies. Someone else called for emergency transport. As the sun set over the Montana mountains, Samuel Harris held on to life with the same stubbornness that had defined his entire existence. He had something worth living for now. He was not about to let it go. Sam woke up in a hospital bed 3 days later. The room was white and clean, filled with the soft beeping of machines. Sunlight streamed through the window. For a moment, he did not know where he was or how he got there. Then he remembered. The attack. The battle. The blood. He tried to sit up, but pain shot through his shoulder. He groaned and fell back against the pillow. "Don't move," a voice said. Sam turned his head. Lyra sat in a chair beside his bed. Dark circles under her eyes told him she had not slept much. Syrah was curled up on a small couch near the window, finally asleep. "You've been out for 3 days," Lyra said. "The doctor said you almost didn't make it. The plasma blast damaged your shoulder badly. But you're going to recover." Sam let out a slow breath. "The Veluxy?" he asked. "Gone. They won't come back." "Your friends made sure of that." Sam nodded slowly. His friends. Old soldiers who had not forgotten him, even after all these years of silence. "You scared us," Lyra said. Her voice was steady, but there was something beneath it. Fear, relief, maybe even love. "When you fell, Sarah thought you were dead. She would not stop crying until the doctors told us you would survive." Sam looked over at the sleeping dragon. She looked so small and young, clutching a blanket that someone had wrapped around her. "I'm sorry," he said. Lyra shook her head. "Don't apologize. You fought for us. You nearly died for us." She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was softer. "No one has ever done that for us before. Not since our parents." Sam reached out with his good hand. Lyra hesitated for just a moment, then took it. Her claws were warm and gentle. "You're family now," Sam said. "Family protects each other." Lyra held his hand tightly and said nothing. But her golden eyes glistened with tears she refused to let fall. 1 week later, Sam was released from the hospital. The farmhouse was waiting for them, repaired by the same veterans who had come to help during the battle. New wood replaced the burned sections. The porch was rebuilt. Even the garden had been tended in their absence. Life slowly returned to normal, or something close to it. But the galaxy had taken notice of what happened on that small farm in Montana. Word spread through interstellar networks. A human had sheltered the last surviving Drakari. A human had fought off trained hunters to protect them. A human had refused every bribe, every threat, every offer to hand them over. The story traveled from station to station, from species to species, until it reached the Galactic Council itself. The Council sent a formal inquiry to Earth's government. They demanded an explanation. They wanted to know why humans were interfering in galactic affairs, why they were protecting a species that many considered extinct and irrelevant. Earth's response was simple and direct. The Drakari were under human protection now. Any species that threatened them would answer to the Terran fleet. This was not a request. This was a promise. The galaxy was stunned. Humanity had only joined the interstellar community a century ago. They were considered young, emotional, and reckless. They formed attachments too easily. They valued individuals over efficiency. They let their hearts guide their decisions instead of cold logic. But in that moment, the older species saw something they had long forgotten. They saw compassion without calculation, loyalty without condition, love without limits. They saw humanity at its best. On the farm in Montana, Sam heard about the Council's inquiry from an old friend in the military. He laughed when he learned about Earth's response. "Guess we made some noise," he said. Lyra smiled, a rare and precious thing. "You humans are strange," she said. "You risk everything for people who are not even your own species." "That's what family does," Sam replied. Syrah ran onto the porch carrying her guitar. She had learned 12 songs now and practiced every day. "Sam, listen to this one. I just learned it." She sat down and began to play. The music was simple but beautiful, filled with joy and hope. Sam leaned back in his chair and listened. Lyra stood beside him, watching her sister with pride. The Montana sun was setting behind the mountains. The sky turned gold and crimson and purple. The air was cool and cleaned on. Syrah finished her song and looked up with shining eyes. "What do you think?" she asked. "Perfect," Sam said. "Absolutely perfect." Syrah beamed with happiness. She set down the guitar and climbed onto the porch swing beside Sam. She leaned against his side and let out a contented sigh. "Sam," she said quietly, "is this what family feels like?" Sam looked at Lyra, who met his gaze with a warmth she no longer tried to hide. He looked at Sarah, this small dragon who had brought light back into his life. He thought about Clara and Mia. He would never stop missing them. The grief would never fully go away. But it no longer consumed him. It no longer defined him. He had room in his heart for both the past and the present. He could honor those he had lost while cherishing those he had found. "Yeah," he said softly, putting his arm around Sarah. "I think it is." Lyra sat down on his other side. For a long moment, the three of them watched the sunset together in peaceful silence. Somewhere out in the galaxy, ancient species debated humanity's place among the stars. They analyzed human behavior and tried to understand why this young species acted the way they did. They ran calculations and projections and theories, but they would never truly understand. Because what made humanity special could not be measured or calculated. It was the willingness to take in 2 lost orphans from a dead world. It was the courage to fight impossible odds for people who were not even the same species. It was the ability to rebuild a broken heart by opening it to others. Samuel Harris had lost everything once. He had been empty and alone, and ready to give up. But then 2 dragons fell from the sky, and they gave him a reason to smile once more.